And now we are going to do problem E10 on page 433, and we're going to look at doing two of the three depreciation methods. We're going to look at the straight line depreciation method and the production method. So we're going to start out with our problem, and it says we're working with Silverio Oil Company, and on January 13th, 2011, they purchased drilling equipment or drilling truck for $45,000. Silvero expects the truck to last for 5 years or 200,000 miles with an estimated residual value at the end of 5 years for $7,500. During 2012, the truck is driven 48,000 miles, and Silvero's year end is December 31st. We're going to compute the depreciation for the year 2012 under the straight line and production methods today, and then at a later point we'll use the double declining balance method. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at figuring out what our depreciable cost is. So we're going to take our cost of our asset minus the residual value to calculate our depreciable cost. And in our problem, the cost of our asset was $45,000. And our residual value was $7,500. So therefore, our depreciable cost is $37,500. So let's look at our first depreciation method. Our first depreciation method is to compute depreciation using the straight line method. We're going to use our depreciable cost because this is the most amount of the asset that we can depreciate. Our depreciable cost is $37,500 because we anticipate that at the end of the 5 years, our asset is going to be worth $7,500 in perpetuity, indefinitely. So we take our depreciable cost and we're going to divide it over the 5 years of the useful life of that asset. And so we are going to get an amount of $7,500 as our annual depreciation expense for this drilling truck. So each year we're going to depreciate this truck by the value of $7,500, assuming we have full years of depreciation. And that's really about as much as we need to do for the straight line depreciation, except that what we would do once we did this calculation at the end of the year is we would do our journal entry for this to expense this depreciation expense and record the accumulation of our depreciation. Okay, next let's look at the production method. And we're going to calculate this production method using the approach that I taught you in class, which is to basically say that we have our depreciable cost. Again, we're going to start with our depreciable cost of $37,500. And instead of using a denominator of years, which is 5 in the straight line method, instead we're going to depreciate this item over the estimated units of production. So in this particular case, this problem says that our drilling truck will be depreciated over units of production of 200,000 miles. So we're dividing our $37,500 by our anticipated useful production of 200,000 miles. If we had some other type of equipment, say a copier, and the anticipated useful units that could be copied with that copier was 10 million units, then our denominator would be 10 million units, 10 million copies. So the difference between the straight line depreciation and the production depreciation is really just that in the straight line, our useful life is expressed in time, years in this case. And in the production method, our useful life is expressed in units of production. So in this case, it's 200,000 miles, or units of production in miles. So we take our 37,500, we divide it by the 200,000 miles, and we get a factor of 0.1875. We then apply that factor and multiply it by the actual miles that our truck was used for in that particular year. So in 2012, the problem tells us that our truck was used for 48,000 miles. So we multiply that factor by the 48,000 miles, and we get a total depreciation for that particular year of $9,000. So that's the annual depreciation for that year. Okay, and just like with the straight line method and any other method, we would record our journal entry at the end of the year by taking our depreciation expense for that year and debiting it to match our expense with our revenues for the period, and then we would credit this amount to the accumulated depreciation account, accumulated depreciation contra asset account for that particular year. Okay, so using the production method, our depreciation expense was $9,000, and our accumulation of depreciation for that year is going to be $9,000. If we were doing this journal entry and we were using the straight line method, the only difference would be that our straight line depreciation in that year was $7,500, so we would debit depreciation expense for $7,500 and credit accumulated depreciation for $7,500. That's the only difference. Okay? And that's really it as far as our calculations go for calculating our straight line depreciation and production method of depreciation for our problem E10.